Hello, all. My name is Erta the Wanderer, and I've come out of the jungle today because the winds of magic are shifting. With me today is the Great Lizard Wizard. How are we doing today, Wizard?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How have you been?
So far, so good, especially considering. But, so, we have a new book that dropped that has some pretty impactful implications for Age of Sigmar in general for the future.
Yeah, and especially more so than like some of the other previous ones we've seen.
Mm hmm.
Like Malign Portents and Wrath of the Everchosen were all one-offs. Important, but one-offs, and this is going to be a series.
This is essentially Age of Sigmar Psychic Awakening.
Yeah, very similar vein.
Hmm. And, forgive me, I forgot what it's called. The overarching thing.
Shattered Realms?
Shattered Realms. There we go. So we've got the first of the Shattered Realms, which is a big lore dump, which is good. We are finally
Hmm.
getting into the story of AOS proper. Not just a one shot deal, but a or something that's just focusing on Stormcast and nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Um, it's very similar to the Realm Gate Wars in terms of its scope. Like they're obviously doing um a couple armies per book, and they're going to try and cover through all the armies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it seems to be a lot more impactful. Like there's stuff that you can actually use in match play in these, instead of just being a narrative feature.
Mm. There's a lot of stuff, and we'll get to it, but this book seems to be dealing with Daughters of Cain, Idoneth Deepkin, Stormcast Eternals, Cities of Sigmar, and it touches on Slaves to Darkness, yes?
Yeah, yeah, it's got one thing for Slaves to Darkness.
Mm. Uh, yeah, some of these make plenty of sense. It does the story does take place in a city, and so when Anvil Guard falls, you kind of need something to replace Anvil Guard roles.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I like is that even though Anvilgard fell, it's like in the rules section says you can still play as Anvilgard, but you can play as like either pre this lore event happening, or you can play as one of the resistance factions trying to regain control of the city and use those rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they didn't just kill the rules; that they made a way to play with it. They found a good way to introduce new, meaningful, impactful lore, but not take away someone's project that they've worked on.
Yep, especially with the old you have to be the right color to be Anvil Guard. It would be really crappy of them if they were to then make it so that's no longer an option.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so brief outline of the story. If anybody doesn't want spoilers, cover your ears and start screaming. But Morathi has managed to finally claw her way to goddesshood after so very long. That's been a thing since the beginning of their faction, and they managed to do it.
Yeah. In general, like they really skipped the story along. Um, like this book is rightfully called Morathi. Like she's the fulcrum behind all the events that occur.
Yep. She took over half of one of the major cities of Sigmar. She released a good chunk of Slanesh's power back into the world. She ate a whole bunch of dead kings, and she became a goddess.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Mm.
I still haven't finished reading through all of it, but I'm loving where I'm at already.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's
it's a
solid
great book.
stuff. Do you think?
Like even if you don't collect any of the armies that are featured in this book is well worth picking up. Um, if you at all care about the lore for the Mortal Realms.
Or just like a good story to read through?
Yeah.
They've got one of the. They've got a good writer on this.
Hmm. Yep.
Although this does raise a question, and I brought it up on Lastria, but I'll reiterate it here. Do you think Daughters of Cain are going to stay in order?
Um,
I mean, they just attacked two of their major factions, took over half of a city, and released a Chaos God. They don't really fit anymore.
sure, but Idonath are part of Order, and they raid and steal the souls of Order guys all the time.
Yes, but did they declare war on them and release a Chaos God?
Fair. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see Daughters of Cain going to Chaos though. Um, and there's not really anywhere else for them to go.
I
Um,
mean, they did used to be Chaos War troopers back in the old world.
oh yeah, no, Cain was literally just an alternative name for corn.
Right.
Like you can look at some of the old third and fourth edition artwork for witch elves, and they're literally wearing the sigil of corn on their cowls.
Mm-hmm. And Morathi's essentially made herself into a chaos construct at this point. So if Skaven are in chaos, they might as well be.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I could see that. Um, like they've always had a bent towards chaos, but I don't know. I just can't imagine Morathi serving the ruinous powers.
I also can't see
Um,
Skaven serving the Rudeness powers, but there you go.
fair, fair.
Mm. I just think it might be interesting if they committed to letting factions alliance jump.
Hmm.
It might mean that in the future things can change depending on the story, and that might be really interesting. Open things up for a lot of speculation.
Yeah, especially for like allies and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And it would also give them something to put in the general's handbook. Here's who you can make friends with now that everything's changed again.
Yeah, well, and there's the oh, what's the game format that came out with the last General's Handbook, where you can have like different types of allies that you can bring into your army.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
They codified all the ally rules to so that you can essentially take anybody, with a few
yeah, like
exceptions.
you can't actually, but you can for that format,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is cool. So maybe seeing something like that more that actually occurs in match play, like that could be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. I To be perfectly honest, this is the biggest. This is the first big step AOS has taken since I joined the game, and so I'm very excited as far because
Hmm,
I've always been a lore junkie.
nice. Yeah, like this is good. It feels great, but man, the GHB was the biggest step in the right direction that Age of Sigmar has made even to this day.
Mm.
The campaign for this book also looks pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got new Realm of Battle rules specifically for the campaign, so I'm excited to see that always moving forward with campaign battles. The battle plans are pretty interesting. Like they're very much derived from the narrative if you read through the story, so that's super cool. Um,
Yeah, I
as
always.
someone who really likes Slaves to Darkness, I'm super happy to see the different Gaunt summoners continue to reoccur. Like there's the Gaunt summoner from Wrath of Everchosen. There's a specific Gaunt summoner in this one. Like that's been really cool. I hope that trend continues. Um, but the campaign is it's awesome. Like reading through it, I know two guys locally that have Daughters of Cain, and I want to see if they will play through this.
Yeah, I might actually be picking up considering some of the changes that they made in this book. I might be
Hmm.
trying to run DOK in the future
Mm.
because
I do love the Medusa models.
yep, yeah. They were always in my peripheral vision, but the
Hmm.
half of the army that I like was the half of the army that sucked.
And was expensive.
That too.
Like, not only were they bad, but the snake stuff, like to build a snake army,
Oh man.
is easily $2,200.
Mhm.
Uh, and they were the worst half. But oh my god, the models are awesome.
They are. Hence why I use half of them in all of my skink priests. Hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Well, we do have rules changes. A lot of the
Hmm.
buzz has been around Morathi,
Hmm.
specifically her, and and rightly so. She's now god priced at 600 points, which is a bit steep, but such is the way of things.
I think it's worth it because now, so the big thing that changed with her is you get both of her models on the table at all times. There's no more changing forms
Mm-hmm.
or forms. Uh, you get Morathi Kane and you get the Shadow Queen.
Oy.
Um, so you end up with a solid wizard, a three cast wizard to unbind, um, and gets +1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding. So she's like slan level bonus. It's not table wide, but still. Um,
Yep. She's
and
solid.
she can't die. She just passes wounds on to the Shadow Queen.
Well, no,
Uh,
that's disingenuous. She can die just as much as anyone else. It's just that the wounds are held elsewhere.
yeah, but like you can't just kill Morathi Kane. You fundamentally have to kill the Shadow Queen.
Right. It does mean that you have two targets to hit, which makes her Ironheart even more important.
And it got buffed. Like
Did it?
now, anything that happens out of turn, it's exactly the same as before in terms of its base rules. Can only take 3 damage a turn. But now, if any out of turn sequence damage happens, if it happens before the first player's turn, it counts as turn one. If it happens after second player's turn, it still counts as turn two.
Okay.
Because you used to be able to, in a single game round, starting turn two, if things go perfectly, kill her in a single round.
Mm-hmm.
But you can no longer do that anymore.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of this role. Always have been. Marathi's a cool model, and as a monster, they are so easy to kill. This
Hmm.
helps a little with that. Doesn't make her.
Yeah, it honestly doesn't matter that she has a 4+ save. Like, you just don't care. Um, she deals enough damage with like 8 attacks, threes and threes, Ren 2 3 damage,
Mm,
that there's nothing that's worth sending into her. Um, because you're not going to kill her enough to tier her. Like you can't tier her the first turn of the game because she can only take 3 damage. Um, like it's just not worth going into her. You want to plink away at her with from range.
and so she
Um,
can stand around and buff snakes,
yeah. Uh, they did make sure the command ability says that it can only be used once per phase.
which
So
they
there's no more
yeah
of I make my heart render unit shoot 12 times. Like that's gone. Uh,
true, but they fixed that fairly early on. Her ability
yeah.
hasn't stacked with the I think it's the Hag Queen that lets you double pile in.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
hasn't stacked with her in a very long time, so. But she gives
Uh,
+1 attacks to harpies and snakes, which is fun. It means you can get 30 or so crystal gaze attacks if you want.
yes, which is freaking awesome.
It's just amazing. I am very tempted, but I'm still working on stuff, so it'll be a while. Plus, I actually
Mm.
want to play, so.
But
But
yeah, no, it's like solid changes. Like even though she's 600 points, she's worth it. And consider the fact that like Alariel is 600 points and how much better this Morathi is than Alariel.
yeah, that says more for Alariel and poor Sylvaneth than it does for anything else, but yes.
But hey, maybe Alariel will get like a cool new like if Sylvaneth in their book, I assume Alariel is going to get an update.
hmm Also, Morathi, for some reason, counts as a general in addition to your existing general, so essentially that just means she works with 18 on generic command abilities,
Yes.
and that's
And
about it.
for fluff purposes,
Oh, fair.
because it always feels bad to be like, Morathi's here, but she's not my general because I want a command trait. So
Yeah.
this hag witch is. Like, that just always feels bad. So I like that she counts as a general regardless, just because that feels better.
hmm They have a they have battalions, but for the most part, they're kind of lackluster. I do like the one that gives a free command ability every turn.
Hmm.
because this army likes command abilities but has no real way to get them.
Yeah,
Even more so now that Aether Quartz Brooch is gone.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Hmm. They keep having to adjust for the fact that they got rid of that. I wonder why.
uh, yeah, good question. Uh, it's almost like they balanced the game around it at one point.
Yeah. And that just nuking an entire section of your game was short sighted. And you have to continually fix it. But well, fair enough. But
But yeah, it's really solid. Like I don't know that the new I don't know that the new temple is much more worth it than Hagnar or
Hagnar's
the
a
other
thing, so it
Medusa
doesn't
champ.
matter.
Hmm?
Yeah. Whenever you see a new temple for DOK, you remember that Hagnar is a thing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And even then, if I were going to run a snake coven and I wanted to focus on snake things, I would take the other snake coven that already exists and I can't remember the name of.
Give me a second. But yeah,
I didn't grab. I should have before we started. I should have grabbed all my battle tomes that have something from them crossover, but I didn't think to do it before I got settled in.
Temples of Blood. Let's see. There's Kyleborn, Kraith, and Dretchy Ganath, which is this. Oh yeah, Dretchy Ganath is the snake heavy one.
Yeah. Yep. And they have benefits, if I remember right, to their frightful gaze. So I think I would take them with the new Morathi anyways if I was wanting to do like a snake mortal wound thing.
Mm. Oh, and that's
But
right. They still have the sixes counting as two because
yes,
they've never fixed the wording on that because they're bad at
yes.
doing that. Mm.
Uh, Cities of Sigmar is cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
I am very miffed that they keep taking away our old cool abilities and giving them to other armies.
yeah,
This keeps happening and it keeps making me angry because they gave us a whole bunch of +1 to hits and so meh.
yep, yep,
And everyone said it's good thing these abilities are gone. They were broken and hard to balance around, except now they're not. Everyone else has them.
yeah, uh, yeah. It is a little bit sad to see it.
For those of
Um,
you who don't know what I'm talking about, they gave away our old Stegdon ability to move after a teleport.
well, yeah, and like our teleport rolling on a 3-up back in the day, or a
Mm.
5 or 6, or a 6, depending, like how far back you go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but the you have the potential to move after a teleport. With specifically Misthaven.
Hmm.
So Anvilgard in the story got split in half. So now there's an Ugu version of Anvilgard, and there's a Akshian version of Anvilgard. Um, so there's actually a city of Sigmar from a realm other than Akshi or Garan.
Yep. Doesn't
Um,
matter because, again, the artifacts are gone, and that was the only reason the realm mattered.
yeah, but remember that cities of Sigmar, if a spell's from that realm, it gets maximum effect. So now, like the Ugu spells, like Geminids, and the mirrors, um,
That's
get their
always the thing.
maximum
They get
effect.
that regardless of whether they're from that realm or not.
Right, 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 right. That's just a full-on cities thing. I forgot.
Yep. I mean, it would be cool if that's how they limited that ability, and a lot of people would find it easier to swallow, especially. But now that just means everyone would take this because the bridge and the boat and lunchbox are all from Ulgu. So,
Mm.
no, wait. No,
The bridge
Ulgu's
is
the
from
bridge. Is
Shaiish.
set. Yeah, Shaiish. So it
Oh,
wouldn't matter. Yeah.
but yeah, pretty solid. There's a battalion that's not bad. For them, it's a sorceress on dragon, and then it becomes named.
Yep, which makes it
and counts as a
actually
named
worth
hero.
taking.
Yep. Because if it still gets a command trait, which is just first battle round, you get an extra command point, which is solid.
Hmm.
The other thing it does is you can add one to the attack characteristics of the other two units from the battalion, which is a unit of Dread Spear, unit of Dark Shards. So Dark Shards getting one extra shot each,
Yeah,
pretty
a
solid.
block of 40, that's actually pretty scary, especially with all the
Hmm.
pluses to hit and do fun stuff that Cities has.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Um,
doesn't make them the best shooting unit in Cities, but it makes them much better, especially if you like to, and have old Dark Elves.
yes. They've got a cool new thing called Dark Temptations, which are like there are various command traits you can take. They're all pretty solid.
Hmm.
Um,
They also got the Ogre Tyrant's ability
yes.
to kill someone to make an example of them and no more battle shock, which, oh, poor ogres. It was one of their fun things.
Yeah. Um, in a way, theirs is better, but it's also weaker. Because Bully of the First Degree, you do it to that unit, and then that unit is forever safe. Theirs, you do it to a unit, and then all friendly units near them for that round are Battle Shock immune. So
Hmm.
it really just increases your efficiency for inspiring presence, more so than like making a unit not need a babysitter. Um, so there's definitely some trade-offs, um,
Yeah, but
but
after
still
they,
a solid ability.
yeah, they keep giving ogre abilities to other people, but better. And
Yeah, I think ogres probably still have the best charge mortal wounds out of armies that came out after them. Like
hmm,
Midas Skull Crushers are just amazing. Like
yeah,
their charge mortal wounds are fantastic. But like it's pretty easy to fit a 9-man unit of gluttons in and get mortal wounds on a 4+ for your charge roll,
hmm,
or to just take the behemoths and get the same thing. Like the charge roll, and honestly, the main thing I think of when I think of ogre mall tribes, if we're like to go on a tangent, is the hungry and feasting mechanic.
oh, that's so
Um,
cool. I wish they'd done more with it.
I know, right?
Fair enough. But let's see. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff for cities. Nothing in the War Scroll. Just more options to not play Hollow
Hmm.
Heart.
Uh,
And let's see. We
the
also,
Stormcast.
yes, Stormcast.
Mm,
This is actually pretty big because
yeah,
Stormcast been have been lacking a good battle line since the game began.
yep.
They
Sequitors kind of filled that niche
Yeah,
for
but
a
you need
bit.
to take a tax unit to make it work.
Yep. And power creep made Sequitors way less good than when they first came out.
Yeah.
Um, but Liberators are pretty solid now, specifically if you run.
Specifically because
Uh,
of the changes in this book, because up until now, liberators were just dudes that stood there and held an objective point.
yeah,
uh,
but they get Shield of Civilization now, which is pretty awesome. It just adds one of the bravery characteristic of Stormcast Eternals, while they're wholly within 12 inches of any friendly Liberators. Um, Considering the number of bravery and uh, charge spells, that's actually really useful.
hmm.
Um, In addition, at the end of any of your movement phases, a Liberator unit that hasn't moved and was not set up in that phase, meaning you don't get this if you
Drop from the
ride the
sky.
lightning or drop from the sky or Scion of the Storm or whatever. But if you do so until your next movement phase, they get +1 to hit rolls for attacks made and add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target those units.
So
Um,
they are actually the durable units they're supposed to be.
yes. Um, So yeah, now you've got a 3-up save and +1 to hit. So like 5-man units where you're trying to maximize your Liberator Prime with the Great Hammer.
Hmm.
Now it's threes and threes, 3 attacks, rend 1, 2 damage. Like that's not a bad 100-point unit with,
No,
uh,
it
yeah,
actually does a good job, and it doesn't need help to do so.
yep,
Granted, they can't move, which is unfortunate because Stormcast have a problem with movement, but At least
Mm,
GW knows the problems that are there and are working to try and fix them. Maybe,
fair.
or this is just a dartboard that hit bullseye.
Mm. The other thing that I really like, because this storm host is specifically for like the storm keeps,
Mm-hmm.
which are the various Stormcast Eternal battlements that are part of the cities of Sigmar. So the other thing they get is mortal auxiliaries, which is basically the opposite of or inverse of the cities of Sigmar rule.
Mm-hmm.
One in every 4 units in a storm keep can be a cities of Sigmar unit.
Which is
Um,
so good because they
yep.
really, really need the specialist units that they don't have. They can take
Well, not
out.
even just specialist. You can take guard. So like the
Mm-hmm.
thing that they struggle with, which is bodies.
Yep, you can take chaff. You can take outriders for outriders. If you want to go full shoot cast, you can do that too. You
Yep.
can take. Man, I'm. I don't know if this applies, but you can probably take a Hurricanum to give you an additional +1 to hit
Yeah, you absolutely can.
because, which would be good because again they have trouble hitting. This
Yeah.
fixes so many of Stormcast's problems because despite having so many models, they have such limited options.
Mm.
But yeah, if they actually need a heavy, heavy anvil, they can take Phoenix Guard. If they need like yeah, man,
Yeah.
there is so much beige in Stormcast. They don't
But
really.
yeah, it's really neat. Like being able to take um so many different things, and like now you have access to good cheap wizards as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
even just bringing some Collegiate Arcana stuff, like either the Hurricanum or the Luminarch, or just the regular old foot mages. Like this opens up a lot of good options for Stormcast Eternals.
Yes,
Um,
they're actually going to really enjoy the foot mages because some of their base spells, while not terribly good in a city's army, because you have too many good options to make it, their war
mhm.
scrolls spells are actually really good in a stormcast army. Being able to give
Mm,
+1 save to your units, being able to uh, increase movement, run in charge. There's a lot of stuff there that can be awesome.
yeah,
Let's see. Do you want to hit IDK next or last? Because they're probably the biggest changes.
let's hit them last.
Okay. Then we also have a Slaves to Darkness part.
Yeah.
The
So
Idolaters.
I really like it. I have a big complaint, which I'll get to. But this is another. This will be the seventh Legion for Slaves to Darkness. The third one to come out outside of their original battle tome.
Right?
Um, but they get a new prayer thing. So in general, all their priest prayer rolls get +1. So this is huge for Chaos War Shrines.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They also got a whole bunch of new prayers.
yes, but I think only yeah, they're solid. Um, like that, it's a good prayer list. Just being able to choose a prayer to attach is a bonus in and of itself. Um, so that's they get that. They also get the panoply of ruin, which is idolater cultist uh, that have a battle line battlefield roll. When you make a charge roll, change the lowest dice to a 6. So
Yeah,
all those cultist units, like the things from
Iron
Warcry,
Golems.
hmm
Yeah, they're all battle
they now
line
have the
now,
Marauder charge roll.
and they all have Marauder Charge, which makes them not as worthless.
Yeah. So it, in some ways, they're gonna be better than some of the Marauders, I think. Um,
Convince me.
Especially if you're bringing like a Dark Oath Queen,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like the Myrmidon. Like there's some things that interact with cultists specifically that will make this really strong. Um, I'm not sure which one I like the most for it, but like Untamed Beast, they're
Oh, yeah,
looking
Untamed
really
Beasts were always
speedy
pretty
now.
fun.
Um, so yeah, like that's awesome in and of itself. Like before, I just used those units to mix into my Marauders to give them some more variation.
Hmm.
Um, Now I might actually run them as Cultist. Um, so that's pretty sweet. You can, if you're an Idolater Legion, upgrade a Chariot to be a hero. Um, what
Yay?
that does for you is the Chariot counts as the inspired champion, even though it's not a unit of three. Uh, because Chariots got hit so hard. Like you
Yes.
used to be able to take them in units of one for 80 points, and end up with three attack, threes and threes, rend one, two damage guy on the back of it. And then they were like, nope, that's going to be way too strong for some reason.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's not.
which it wasn't. Yeah. So they completely killed it. Now they're 120 points. But the Idolater Lord's not bad. He gets that same treatment, so he counts as being Exalted Charioteer, even though he's a single model unit. Um, you have to give it one of the marks of chaos, so Korn, Zinch, Nurgle, Slanesh, or Undivided. He also gets to pray, so he counts as a priest.
Hmm.
Um,
Which
you
is,
get to choose which one you want him to
which yeah, that's
pray,
worth
and
40
then
points.
yep. And then he gets there's Idolater Lord prayers only. And if you're familiar with the Chaos War Shrine, they're pretty similar.
Hmm.
Corn, you choose a unit wholly within 12. On a 3 up, you can reroll attack rolls, but it's only the one benefit. But I mean, it's the best one, reroll attack rolls. Zinch, same deal, 12, 3 up, reroll saves. Nurgle,
Nurgle is save,
12, 3 up, reroll wounds. Slanesh, reroll charges. Undivided is heal D3. Um,
which is odd, but fair enough.
yeah, like it kind of lets you run despoilers without demon princes if the main thing you're looking for is the big healing.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's not too bad. Uh, I don't know how often I am to choose it over one of the other legions, but the prayers are pretty sweet. Like I'm definitely gonna give it a try. Uh, You also get Destroyer of False Idols, which lets you add one, which is just an awesome fluffy bit. It lets you add one to rune rolls for attack made by idolater models that target a priest. Um, so that's just a fun fluffy thing.
Hmm.
Uh, it
Although
might come up with
I don't.
Seraphon since we have priest. It'll come up with like if you're fighting Corn. Like there's some armies that definitely have priest frequently in them.
Hmm.
But it's just a great fluffy piece. Like I don't think it's gonna make a big difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the name makes any sense considering idolaters are people who. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it would be like naming like death to heathens or something.
Yeah. So
Uh
sure.
yeah, they're great. I like them. They've got a fun little command ability. In your hero phase, you can pick one friendly idolatr's unit wholly within 12 inches of one of the lords, and within 3 inches of a terrain feature that's part of the enemy army. Then roll a dice. If the roll is greater than the number of enemy models within 3 inches of the terrain feature is desecrated. Scenery rules for the desecrated terrain feature do not apply for the rest of the battle. Um,
They keep doing this. They keep giving the ability to get rid of or ignore or change terrain.
so I really like it.
Uh huh.
Um, like I hope this trend continues. Um, I like that the Mega Gargant can step on terrain. I like that the Realm Shape or that Seraphon can adjust terrain rules for Coalesced. I like that these guys can desecrate a terrain feature. Um, yeah,
Mazdamundi would be proud.
yeah. So it makes me super happy.
And
Um,
I do miss Desecration of Cities. That was a awesome spell back in the day.
Yeah,
But
and I like that there's two sides to play around it. Like it's not just you get there and on a um, 3 up you ruin it. Like
hmm?
you have to roll a dice, and the dice result has to be larger than the number of enemy models that are within 3 inches of it. So like you can't just run up to a goblin loon shrine that's surrounded by goblins and turn it off.
Yep.
Um,
Which is good for the faction terrain that it helps. But
yeah, and it also helps us, right? Because we only care about our terrain if we're garrisoned in it anyways. If we're garrisoned in it, there's a decent chance we've got more than 6 models. Um,
yeah.
so it doesn't feel, it's not like it feels bad for Seraphon.
Hmm.
Um,
Or anybody else who uses it.
yeah, um, it is going to be impactful, especially with like Fanes of Slanesh and stuff. Like there's some pieces of terrain that don't frequently require people to be near them.
Hmm.
Um, and like it's not bad for flesh eater courts, like playing against flesh eater courts, because now it pressures them even harder to use their command abilities for their once per game summon that much sooner.
I mean,
Um,
they already did it, just did it the first turn.
yeah, but a lot of for at least at tournament play, my experience, a lot of people had to hold back um, because you have missions like Starfall and Knife to the Heart and Duality of Death and these other missions that reward patient play.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't think it's going to come up a whole lot, but I do like it. Like I'm definitely going to play Idolaters for some fun games. It's not something I try and bring to a tournament. Um, but I don't know. Maybe this will turn out to be the Legion. I just don't see it being that way at the moment. Um,
Which is fair. Uh, and last and probably most substantial, we have Deepkin.
yes.
Right after we talked about how to do fight Deepkin, they changed everything.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. So, addendum. Not a lot has changed, but a lot more stuff can see the table. You don't have to worry about just eels anymore.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about how like, or at least I mentioned that I would totally play sharks even though sharks are bad.
And now
Um,
sharks are not bad. Holy crap, these guys are fun.
yeah, I still don't think they're as good as ills, but they're good. Um,
The thing is, I can see some of these guys in eel lists
exactly.
because net.
Like,
Okay, we might as well just address it. The net gun on Alapexes now prevents pile-ins if it does damage, or if it just
yes, it
hits.
is now the gun to take.
Yep, which means that if you can clip a big unit of 40 with your 3 eels, and they can't pile in to retaliate because they got shot
Yes.
with a shark.
Well, and what's also great is this helps death pile-ins. So like
Uh, Plague
bloody to,
monks.
or murderous to the last.
Hmm.
Like all those death pile-ins, dreaded death frenzy. Like this helps counter that.
Yeah, blood warriors,
Um,
all that good stuff.
yep,
Doesn't mean you won't get any attacks in, but yeah, this is really good at preventing the hit back.
yep. Well, and there's like the ogre Ma tribe for the blood gullet, where you can end up with a 6 inch pile-in. There's the beast of chaos stuff that gives you 6 inch pile-ins. There's the Slanesh thing that gives you a 6 inch pile-in.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's uh, it's great.
But all of that, so sharks are still just as cheap as they were, but now they are
Yes.
actually really good
Yep.
because just the preventing of pile-ins is so useful in so many ways, especially with how IDK plays. And they're
Hmm.
just as fast as anything else. Like they're 14 movement, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 14 movement, 4 plus save, 8 wounds. Like they're pretty beefy.
Hmm.
They're what a chariot should be. Like these guys are a basic chariot profile, but better.
Yep.
Um, like they're great. I love them. Um, and like stopping piling ins has so many other implications. Like there's the arcane power battle plan, where only heroes can control the objective, and you can only gain control by ending a movement within 3 of the objective.
Hmm.
So preventing pile-ins can like stop the enemy from taking back an objective and other things. Like it just removes another action of movement. Like
Hmm.
there's so many broad ways that stopping pile-ins help you.
Yep. The Leviathan got better. It now has a 2+ degrading save, and it buffs the foot sloggers, whose names I forget.
The Namarati.
Yes, the
Yep.
thralls. It buffs them, so they're still not what you take, but if you want to, they aren't terrible anymore.
Yeah, getting +1 to hit. The buff they give them is +1 to hit
Mm-hmm.
while they're wholly within 12 inches of a Leviathan. Um, that's not awful, especially in this shooting meta.
Mm-hmm.
Like forcing them to shoot the thing that's the closest and giving that thing +1 to their save. Um, like I can see Namarati with Leviathan protection as a viable way to try and counter Disciples of Zinch and Keratin Overlords.
Yep.
I don't think it's better than just ills. Like you don't have to worry about something that you surround and kill. Um, but it's playable now. Like it's not just put it on the table, pick it back up.
Mm-hmm. The turtle's attacks got better, and its abilities aren't redundant, which is always good. The redundant
Yes.
abilities are just why it was so worthless. Because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if all of your units are in cover if you already get that from two other better sources.
Yeah. Well, and so like we didn't actually mention the exact table, but it's important to note that the degrading save, it has a 2+ save until it's taken 9 damage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got 16 health. So the amount of damage you have to do to it in order to degrade it is massive.
Yep.
So even just using this because like you have to shoot the closest thing, just throwing this in the face of KO or Disciples of Zinch, like it's going to take them so long to chew through it. You're going to eat through so much of their shooting. Like Leviathans are going to be really good for Ideneth versus the current meta, I
Hey, GW, this is what Bastildons should have looked like.
think. Yeah, but yeah, probably.
I mean, they're slower and they don't fly, and don't have as much health, and don't do as
Yeah.
much damage, and aren't as durable, and I can keep going. This doesn't end.
I mean, they cost less.
Yes, but you get a lot less.
It's true. Yeah.
Oh, they also don't buff people, and they don't get mount traits. Oh
Well,
yeah,
they can
GW.
buff Croxagore.
Oh yeah, technically, I keep forgetting they're keyword skinks because they took that away from Crocs.
Uh, and then the Eidolons, both Eidolons also changed.
Hmm. They changed for the better as well. So
Yep.
many of the race to the bottom units in this book got significant buffs.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
They did. Let's see. I'm not sure, but didn't they um, change the Achelian King buff nuke?
oh, I think that's for the battalion. Let me find the battalion. So the Achelian King, this is the new battalion, the Blood Surf Hunt. It requires one Achelian King who becomes named Nimitar, and then 1 to 2 Achelian Alopex units. He counts as a unique named king, so you couldn't run Volturnus as this. It has to be him. You get to add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with the barbed hooks and blades of the Alopex. If they're wholly within 12 inches of that king, in addition, roll a dice when you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the king from the battalion. If it's within 3 inches of an Alopex, on a 2+, the Alopex takes the wound, so similar to like the Tyrant Gut Guard.
So we have a
Um,
shark daddy for all those people who like to play sharks.
yes. And he automatically gets the Lords of the Storm and Sea command trait from the Ideneth Battletome. Um, but I don't think they actually changed the king himself. Um, but still, like having a shark battalion, um, because I think alopexes can be taken in units of 4. Let me double check. Alopexes can be taken in units of 3. So
Hmm.
yeah, like 6 alopex with a king and then some ills. With the pointy guys, the soul scryers, that's not bad.
Yep. GW managed to see what everyone enjoyed and make those good again.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
did they
shark
fix
ills,
Lotan?
very viable.
Yeah, did they fix Lotan?
No.
Ah, so close.
Yep. But they did give mount traits. So the Deep Mares, which is what the kings are on, you can now take Swiftfiend Impaler, Savage Ferocity, Void Child Darkness. One of them, he gets a horn ability. It's on a 6. Nearby enemy units take D6 mortal wounds
Mm-hmm.
instead of D3 mortal wounds. So that's cool. He just gets a better bomb. Savage Ferocity adds 1 to the attack characteristic of the Fang Jaws and Talons for the mount. Um, Void Chill subtracts 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy models if the model's within 3 inches of them.
Yeah, that's the one people will take.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Um, and then Leviathans also now get a mount trait. If a weapon used by this target, this model has a ring characteristic of -1, the ring's treated as nothing. So,
Yep.
our old Source Shield.
Like I said, they
Um,
keep taking our fun abilities and giving them to other people. Although,
yep,
granted, these people needed it, so.
they did.
No, still bitter.
Uh,
No, still bitter.
and I much prefer the +1 to save over ignore only rend 1.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, However, they didn't give it to everyone. Like, I wish Ripperdactyls were a 4 plus and Pterodons were a 5 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, their shields just magically disappeared, which is
Which
too
is,
bad.
yeah.
Uh, Dinzian of Dark Depths is the other Leviathan mount trait. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds inflicted by its crushing charge ability, which isn't bad. Um, but it means you always get at least 1 mortal wound, so nice. Increase the range of the model's Void Drum from 12 to 15 is the other one.
I,
So that's a pretty substantial buff.
yeah, that one actually sounds better. Is the
I
voice.
think just because of the Zinch and KO meta, though, I'm going to take Ignore Rend 1, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Like,
Because the reason I'm bringing in Leviathan is to soak those shots and turning the whole, like, I put Rend on my Flamers or my acolytes to not matter. And KO has a ton of Rend 1, like all their different rifles, and like there's a bunch of Rend 1. Now,
yeah. Luckily,
now a 2
skinks don't
plus that
care.
ignores Rend 1. Hmm?
Luckily, skinks don't care.
Yeah, Skink, yeah. Because we're just looking for those mortal wounds anyways. But that's huge. Like, because now you put your Leviathan out front, you zone their deep striking for fly high, so that they're going to have to shoot one of the 2 Leviathans you bring. Uh, you give it ignore rend 1, and you save command points to reroll saves of 1 with a 2 plus save.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing you have to worry about now are their great cannon, or their sky cannons, great cannons, and the
So they took a
oh
great army and they made them even better
yeah, like
by
this can
making more
now
of their
stand
stuff
up to
viable.
KO.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ideneth kind of looks like an anti KO army to me now. Yeah, they're pretty great.
Yep, and it makes rune priests even more important. Bring it, buddy. I'm gonna shoot your turtle out of the sky.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. So it's all been good changes. Um,
Yeah, for the most part, either good or inconsequential. There's a few things that people argue is just a step too far, but honestly, nothing here is broken.
yeah, the Leviathan's a bit too fighty for how tanky it is now, in my opinion, if I'm being honest. Um,
Considering how bad it was for so long, I think it deserves a bit of time in the sun before they jack up the price.
I don't even think it needs a point hike. Like I think all it needed was like some reduced attack counts. Like instead of 4 attacks on the scything fins, drop it down to 3. Instead of 2 attacks on the jaws, make it a 1 attack bite. Like that alone, I think would have dropped its average damage enough for it to feel reasonable. And
To
I
be
would
fair,
honestly
you are
rather see
never
that
going to
than a
convince me to make a monster weaker.
yeah. But so I don't want the price to go up because the army is all about the ills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be able to fit my ills and still find room for a Leviathan. Um, so from that perspective, I'd rather a slightly weaker monster that I can play with at a tournament than a jacked up monster that doesn't fit in my list.
I mean, that in and of itself might be limiting enough. considering it is what 360
It's
points,
340. It's
340.
340. Yeah. So you're giving up a block of ills to do it.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's worth it, and that it
oh,
needs to
I
be.
yeah. It's just never gonna die though. Like a 2+ save, as long as you save your command point and you've got a hero next to it, it's a 2+ save re-rolling that ignores the most common format of Rend if you're taking that mount trait.
Mm,
Um, so super solid. Uh, and like shoot cast just can't deal with it. Um,
no, that's why they bring Iron Drakes then, because they can do that
exactly.
now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yay!
But yeah, this book is really promising. I'm so excited for more Shattered Realms
And there's
or
more to
Broken
come.
Realms.
What considering what we've seen here, what
Uh huh.
are you looking for? What do you hope to see in the future? Like, what units do you
Um.
think they should really touch up on? What things do you think they should
So maybe Sons of Behemoth will be a playable army when they get theirs.
add?
Uh,
No, but maybe.
that's a big hope. Uh, Beast of Chaos could use some love, so I
Oh,
would love to see
definitely.
Beast of Chaos. Um, in terms of order, like for as books come out, which ones I hope get it first. I feel like Gloomspite Gets and Beast of Chaos are probably top of the list for needing some buffs.
Hmm.
Um, Gloomspite Gets did get the super awesome troll thing out of White Dwarf and a decent squig thing from White Dwarf. Um, so they are in an increasingly better place. But I'd really like to see those things actually make it into a book so that you're not dependent on GHB continuing to re up those White Dwarf things.
Hmm.
And I would like to see them get
I
other buffs
actually I
aside from
believe
those.
that they officially made those official content, didn't they?
Yeah, with an FAQ that came out like
A couple months
over a
ago.
month ago now. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I would like to see Gloomspite Gets and Beast of Chaos get some love. Um,
They definitely need it. I hope that when Gloomspite Gets does happen, that the story is about our war on the moon with them.
oh, that would be cool.
That would be awesome. Show us fighting something that isn't just generic chaos and
So
expand on the lore.
because it's a heavenly body, part of me hopes that the Bad Moon is literally being piloted by Slan, who were using various worshippers of it to complete their great plan.
Maybe.
Uh,
Although, from
like
what our
I
book
kind of hope
says,
it's their laser pointer, and they're just like directing goblins and trolls into battle to deal with chaos.
yeah,
Like that would make me happy.
maybe so, but the lore doesn't point that way.
Oh, for sure.
That
What
would
I'm
be
actually
hilarious.
hoping for us, for lore, is something to deal specifically with the realm gates. Like, please verify that it was the Slan who made them. Uh,
Or the great old ones or something. Give
exactly,
us
yeah.
an actual story in which we participate more than in name only. Would be really fun.
Yes.
Also,
Uh,
we saw two battalions in this book that gave factions named heroes.
correct.
I want them. This is going to be a thing until it happens, GW. I will not start harping on this. I want them to bring our named heroes back. If this is the only way that can happen, so be it.
So the battalion I want is Guard. I want a Saurus Guard battalion
Yeah,
with a
bring
Saurus
Chakax
Eternity
back.
Warden. Yep, yep. And I want it to be good, like actually worth taking. Um, like I don't know what that would look like. Honestly, I would like to see +1 save. That would be fantastic. Like
Yeah,
turn us into more tech guard. Yes, please.
or
Um,
2-inch range on halberds. Or
yes. I think that should just happen. Like I want them
yeah.
to update the war scroll and give halberds a 2-inch range. They're freaking polearms.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah. So that's what I want for at least one battalion. If we're lucky and get two battalions, I want a skink battalion. Like I just want more skinks. I want
Skink
to be
with
able.
Crocs. Crocs need to
Yeah.
be able to go into something.
What I want is a flexible battalion. Like I
Yeah.
want a battalion that says bring a skink star priest and 1 to 3 units of skinks and 0 to 4 units of packs. and 0 to 4 units of Croxagore. Like, give me something flexible.
Let us get our drops down somehow, even if it requires us to bend over backwards too for it.
Yeah, and even if there's a steep tax, like even if like I have to bring a Stegodon in a Starborn list, I'm okay with it if I can get my drops down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I. Everyone's also talking about how they want mount traits, but I'm going to be perfectly honest. If they left mount traits out of our books just to sell us a Shattered Realm book later, I'm going to be angry.
Yeah, well, and honestly, like maybe they just didn't think about it. Like I
Every
generally
every
attribute things.
single other army got it. The ones that didn't because it came out after them got it. We are the only ones left out. They
To
did not
Darkness
forget.
didn't.
Huh?
Slaves to Darkness didn't.
You don't have mounts in Slave to Darkness. You have the Mounticore, and that's it.
We're in the Cacadros and the Lord on Horsey. Uh,
Yeah.
like we have mounts.
Heck, IDK got mounts, and they have a mounted hero, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I think there is actually good hope that Seraphon will be getting mount traits.
Bleh.
Uh, Idolaters also make me think maybe we'll get a prayer list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but generally speaking, I attribute things to absent-mindedness or stupidity over malice. So I
I
mean,
don't think
maybe
it's
I'm wrong.
malice. I just think they're dumb
Yeah, I think they
or
just didn't
lazy.
think to do it. Uh, and that's why we didn't get them. I don't think it was so they could sell us this book. Um,
Yeah.
Also,
That
it
wasn't my
doesn't like even if
implication,
they
but yeah.
did, on a personal level, I have a problem and I buy every Age of Sigmar book that comes out,
Ha.
so I would be buying it anyways. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. But
And on that aside, this book is fantastic. There's multiple new pieces of art in it, which is always great to see.
yeah, you actually get to
Uh,
see Slanesh for once
Yes,
in
there's
all its
really
glory.
cool new maps. Like specifically, they go over the complex where Varanite is being mined,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's super cool. Like it's a neat little subterranean cutaway map. Um, I was a bit sad that they didn't come up with any new color schemes and give me like a color painting guide to do those schemes.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only thing that I wanted to be in the book that wasn't. On another aside, I'm so happy that there's going to be a new Mortal Slanesh hero, um, with the new box that's coming out, the Shadow War box or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like this, I'm so excited. Uh, this book was fantastic.
Yep. I
Uh,
the only reason I haven't gotten it yet was because my GW store has been closed for the last week.
yeah, well, and I think it officially comes out this Saturday, right?
I'm unsure.
I just have the advantage of working at one.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, so employees are able to pick some stuff up early. Uh, but yeah, no, this book is so awesome. Like, even though I only play one of the armies that's going to have any rules impacted by it, and it was arguably the least impacted, uh,
Yeah,
I do not regret buying this
it
book.
it hits one of my armies and it tempts me into a third army that was already tempting.
Hmm.
Although, yeah,
Yeah,
like you said
and
earlier,
I don't know,
it's going to be a
maybe
long project.
hmm. They're such good models though. Like they are so worth it.
Like I said, I made 3 High Priestess Sotek because I liked the model so much, but the rules were so awful. Plus, Snaky Skinks is just the best.
Yes.
Let's see. I don't think there's anything else to touch on. Nothing.
So out of the changes, what army um, do you think got the highest bump to their potential meta standings?
IDK. No
Hmm.
question. The cities doesn't affect their meta because their meta is pretty solid. Heavy shooting, get
Yeah.
teleport in with bridge, done. The DOK, it opens up the ability to take snakes again, which is great. Everyone wanted to do that, but their
Hmm.
best armies are still probably going to be daughters,
Yes.
witch elves. Um, Stormcast now has a lot of
Stormcast, I think, was
options.
really big.
Yes, I
Like,
believe this actually, as far as the most effective for their meta, the Stormcast change is going to, because 100% of lists is going to be this one.
oh yeah, exactly. That's actually what I was going to say. Is like I think the Idoneth was great because it helped them against their two really bad matchups,
Hmm.
but Stormcast just got better across the board.
Right.
Um,
This right
like
here, unfortunately, it does make them a mono pick. They are only ever going to choose this because, and
yeah,
it's going to be mandatory for them.
yeah,
Uh, they
um,
they just have to.
yeah, yeah. I still think Hollowed Knights has some playability in the current meta because of how spell heavy it is and because
Hmm.
running and charging is never bad. Um,
Well, again,
but
if you want,
Stormcast Eternal's got three new battalions too that we didn't even touch.
right?
Um, and
There's
they're
just
all
so
pretty
much in
solid.
this book.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, even with that, I think if you just want to be if you want to be anti magic, just ally in a room priest
Yeah, that's true.
because minus
Uh,
two to unbinds is a really heavy counter to almost everything.
yeah, it is. The one thing I do actually, I think there's a battalion we should cover because this makes Stormcast so much better. It's the Storm Tower Garrison. It's a Knight Vexillor, which is whatever, that's fine. Uh, 2 to 4 units of Liberators, 1 to 2 units of Paladins, 1 to 2 units of Justicar. The reason this is awesome is that Brothers in Arm shield ability that Liberators have,
Hmm.
where they get their +1 to save, +1 to hit, everything that battalion can get it.
Oh wow, that means
So
oh
you can have
ouch.
Paladins that are +1 to hit, 3+ save.
That actually might make
Um,
some of the paladins other than evocators worth taking.
Yeah. Well, so I've always been in the decimators or good boat, like for the entirety of Age of Sigmar.
Hmm.
Um, like even back before GHB, I was like decimators. Uh, and I've continued to like decimators. Decimators are a unit that is under-respected.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not sure about taking about that third one. Judicators? No, no.
Justicar.
Justicar. Those are the ranged bow guys, right?
Yeah, so those are Judicators or the new crossbow guys.
Okay. So
But that plus
okay,
one to hit does not say +1 to hit in combat.
true.
So Judicators who don't move
I
are now twos and threes, rend 1 damage.
still for a 5 man, not all that useful, and you don't want to take them in bigger than 5 man because the only one who does any damage is the leader.
Yeah, the prime with the storm shock bow.
Mm.
But I mean, you can put this on their crossbows as well. Like the crossbow version of Judicators just got a lot better with their hurricane crossbows.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like if you're running it, I feel like this is kind of the battalion to take. Um,
It means I'm probably going to be getting a Skink Starseer to give my Saurus a 2+ save. They're gonna
yep,
need it.
yep. Well, and that makes me happy too because the Starseer is my favorite model.
He's so much fun. I was going to get one just to paint, which is weird because I hate painting, but I wanted to see him look awesome.
Nice. I really need to eventually load up pictures of all the things I've painted to Lustria because I haven't done that for like over a year.
Yeah,
Uh,
same. Every
but I was pretty happy with the way my Starseer came out.
nice. I'm trying to figure out how to make like a mist effect on his crystal ball, but that's going to take a while.
Mm,
Maybe use the marbling effect with cotton.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's worth a try.
Yeah, actually, that might.
But yeah, overall, super happy with this book. I'm really excited for the future books. Definitely hope Gloomspite gets and Beast of Chaos and Sons of Behemoth are
And
the first armies to get updates.
and hey, ogres could use some love as well.
Yeah, I'm really interested as well to see what happens with OBR if they maybe get a chance to take some allies in a specific legion. Like that would give Mortis Praetorians a run for their money. Um,
Yep. Or at the yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of miffed at their Petrifix change, not because they didn't need changing, but because they made it useless.
yeah, they rolled it over to just be Mortis Praetorian.
Yep.
It
So
didn't actually change the
it.
way the army played. It just changed the key name.
Mhm. Oh well. But yeah, giving them options. Let's see. Uh.
Night Haunt needs some serious love.
Yes. Like give Night Hunt a faction that buffs their heroes to not be really terrible.
Yep. I'd like to see Legions of Nagash get a new Legion of Nagash.
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's definitely happening. Everyone knows that's happening. So,
yep. So hope like I would really like to see a mixed Death Legion that's actually playable. Like the current just generic Death Legion of Nagash Legion is pretty crap.
yep.
I would like to see one that's good.
Well,
Um,
all they need really need is well, okay, that I overstepped because they can't use a battalion because they already use a battalion to counter their major weakness.
yeah,
Specifically, all they need is something that buffs skeletons and buffs them well, and they'd be all right.
yeah, yeah. And Legions of Nagash still pops up and does decently well at some tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
It's by no means like a bad army. It's just not
It's a dark
leading the
horse
pack.
army.
Yep. Uh, so that would be cool. I don't think there's a whole lot in the game that needs drastic changes. Like I kind of hope Zinch and KO and uh, other stuff are pretty mild. Um,
Give Korn an ability that lets one of their buff auras be table wide for a turn.
mm, yeah, I would actually like to see a rework of the blood table, the
Oh,
blood tithe
yes, and
table.
then just throw away the blood tithe resets because that's an awful, awful, awful addendum to an ability.
Yeah, it's way too easy to play around,
Hmm.
especially in a randomized turn sequence game.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could use fixing in this game. Those are the ones that I think are most pressing. I think for the most part armies are solid, but
Hmm.
and the ones oh shoot, I can't believe we forgot this. Sylvaneth, make it so you can't unbind forest placements.
I don't know if that's what they need.
They
I
need
feel like what
something,
they
and seeing their whole gameplay is around forests, and now they can't do forests because everything unbinds their forests.
yeah, but they've got like the acorn that just happens.
Yes, once.
And having like so part of it is the amount of space that the forests take up, right?
Hmm.
Like if you make it too easy to get to having three forests on the table, you're taking up like over 20% of play space.
Yes.
Um, that's crazy powerful. So I like that you can't guarantee that within your first turn.
I
Um,
mean,
I like,
it is crazy powerful, but on top of that, they kind of need something that's crazy powerful to counter the fact that everything else in their army is not.
I mean, Kurnoth are solid.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So my hope is that Alariel the Everqueen becomes like Teclis or Morathi or Catacros, where it's
Yeah,
this is your army,
we've
now
already
build around
discussed
it.
how we'd fix her though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yep. So I hope Alariel becomes good.
yeah,
Uh,
fix. I keep forgetting that they actually fixed War Scrolls in this. Fix Alariel, fix shoot other named character, not Drycha. Durthu, fix Durthu.
oh yeah, Spirit of Durthu. That would be fantastic. Make Tree Lord Ancients level 2 wizards, please.
Yep. Or at the
Uh,
very least, not terrible in every way and expensive.
yep. Yeah, maybe don't make them level 2. Maybe just give them +1 to their casting and unbinding and dispelling.
Or make them give everyone in range +1.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, make
Um,
them big magic anchors like they're supposed to be.
yep, that would be fantastic.
I mean, there's lots of things you could do for this poor struggling army.
Uh-huh. It has had some decent showings at more than one tournament.
Mm.
Um,
Actually, you could give dryads a feast or famine type ability for when they're in the trees and when they're not.
they already have some bonuses for being near trees.
Yes, but make it so that when they're not in trees, they get different bonuses, is what I mean.
Oh,
Because
okay,
at the
yeah,
moment, they only work in trees, and they
yeah,
can't
yeah,
get said trees.
gotcha. Yeah, that'd be cool. Um, yeah, I like it.
Hmm?
Or like maybe give them a thicket bonus where if a dryad unit has 11 or more models, it counts as a Sylvaneth Wildwood for purposes of teleporting.
I could live with that. That would be an
Like
amazing ability.
the forest moves with them type thing, like they count. And
Yeah.
counts for like line of sight blocking. That'd be pretty cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see Sylvaneth get some love. Like out of the Order armies, they need it the most.
Yep. Ah, man, there's a lot of potential for this. And so far, GW hasn't screwed up, but I've said that before, and then it immediately followed by them screwing up, so.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with the Slaves to Darkness because I love chariots. Um,
Yeah.
like when chariots were 80 point, I own 12 chariots.
To be fair, Slaves
Because
to Darkness has been getting a lot of love recently.
correct, that's the only reason I'm not upset. Because Slaves to Darkness is already playable. Like they're B tier, they're not A tier.
Mm,
They're B tier. That's okay. Uh, I would have loved for them to get a Legion that made them A tier. Uh, but I don't care that this one's bad. Like I'm still gonna play it. I'm gonna do fluffy things with it. This is for campaigns. This is for playing against a friend. Like this is for non-tournament stuff.
yep.
Um, maybe I'm blind and there's some janky thing you can do with it at a tournament, but I just don't think there is.
Mm.
Um, it was by
Mainly,
far the weakest of the buffs to any of the armies from this book.
mainly it makes me look forward to see what they'll do for us. I,
Yeah, I
ooh,
hope we're more in the Stormcast Eternal vein of things and not the store or Slaves to Darkness. Um, I don't want us to be like full on Ideneth level of things because we're already a solid army.
right.
Um,
Mainly,
we
I
don't need to
just
get
want
that much
more
better.
options than just Disciples of Sotek.
I literally just want good battalions. That's all I want.
Mm. I mean,
I
you
don't
can
care
ask
about
for
mount
both.
trait or anything. I just want to be able to be less than 10 drops.
Hmm. I gave up on that long ago.
Like I don't need to be 1 drop. I don't need to be 3 drop, but I'd love to be able to build 4 drops.
Hmm.
Um, like that's enough that KO and uh, Disciples of Zinch are still a decent counter to us.
Heck, just give
But
us a battalion that holds all our heroes and nothing else.
yeah, that would also be fine.
Call it
Like
the
just
Slan's Entourage.
0 to 2 priest, 0 to 2 star priest, uh 0 to 1 astrolith bearers. Like just give us a flexible hero battalion that makes us take a slan.
Hmm.
Uh that would be awesome.
Yeah. But we have been going over this for quite a while, and at the moment we're just speculating. We'll be addressing the books as they come out. Fingers crossed. Ooh, and at the moment, 4-1 odds that we're the last book. Any takers?
Really?
Huh?
I don't think we're going to be last.
I do. Last in
Uh
everything, that tends to be us.
yeah, I mean maybe we will. Maybe we will.
All right.
Hey, maybe they'll fix our Realm Shaper engine since so many people complained about it.
Oh, now you ended it on a low note. Oh well. All right.
So it's pessimistic hopefulness.
Mm-hmm. So a ambiguous note then.
Yeah, yeah.
But regardless,
Everything about me is ambiguous.
uh, alrighty. The jungle's calling me home.
Have a good night.
Yep, you all do as well.